afternoon. Welcome to Free Speech TV. I'm Carl Nagin at the 2018 Bioneers Conference, and my guest is Jayden Lim, who is a tribal youth ambassador with the Pomo Native Californian tribe, and she is here with us to talk about her work with breaking down stereotypes about Indigenous people. She, as a high school sophomore, was a recipient of a National Arts and Humanities Award for her work with tribal youth ambassadors. Jayden, thank you for being with us,
and
welcome to Free
here.
Speech TV. Thank you. When I heard your talk at the White House, I was struck by just the amazing numbers of stereotypes that you've had to deal with just in public school. Could you talk about that experience and how just even how you were taught your own history has affected you?
Yeah, so my grandpa started an organization called the National Indian Justice Center, which is the parent program to the California Indian Museum and Cultural Center, which is run by my mother. So as a kid, I grew up in a museum, and I was in and out of the exhibits, playing behind the front desk, and that's essentially how I learned my history and my culture, is growing up in a museum.
In school, you had a different experience.
In school, it was much different. I find that stereotypes are put upon students more by the teachers rather than the peers, and the teachers seem to have more racism towards students rather than peers.
Can you talk about some of the experiences you had with that?
Yeah,
racism?
So an example of a teacher saying something would be, you're not Native American, you're Korean, because my father's Korean and I look quite Asian, so I would commonly get told that I wasn't Native American, or that I wasn't from a tribe, or I would be forced to do California Indian projects in class. Instead of taking them home because the teachers didn't want my mother to find out, I was forced to participate in them. So like the styrofoam mission project, I would have to build my mission inside class because my teacher didn't want me to take it home, having my mother find out and then cause drama at the school. I was asked to perform a rain dance by one teacher. I was asked to demonstrate a ceremonial dance by another teacher. There's just some bizarre instances that I've had with various teachers throughout my high school and elementary school experience. It's been happening since kindergarten and then since I left high school.
So this is a misappropriation and promulgation of stereotypes that you've experienced throughout your...
an exploitation of Native Americans.
You do a lot of media work.
I do.
And some of it is about breaking down these stereotypes. Could you describe some of that work for us?
Yes. So we, the Tribal Youth Ambassadors, made a series of videos called The Essential Understandings. So there's 7 essential understandings. It incorporates like practices such as talking about Native American laws and tribal sovereignty and government laws having to deal with Native Americans, Native American history and the different waves of genocide like the Gold Rush and the Mission Period. And then there's other understandings such as not all tribal people are the same. Like California Indians look much different from Indians from North Dakota. So we do a lot of various videos trying to explain to students not only why stereotypes are bad, but where they're rooted from.
Do you interact with other Native cultures which ones? Can you describe some of how that works and how the media that you use allows you to connect with?
When I was little, I was mentored by a woman named Jackie Nunez, who's a Hoshman, which is down south. And so I learned a lot of Hoshman basket weaving styles when I was little. We interact with various different Native cultures within California, at least. I know that I've interacted with a lot of people from Arizona and New Mexico, and connecting with other people about issues that we have in California and how that relates to other issues in various states.
Do you find that this is helping, using these medias, is helping you build a more trans-tribal movement?
Yes, I think that the media helps not only connect tribally across the country, but also media is a huge thing for youth nowadays, and us being a youth group, we have to utilize the tools that we are given.
You're also involved with a movement now to end the name Columbus Day and call it Indigenous Day. Can you talk about your work with that and your activism, and when you first started doing that work?
So I feel that I've started doing that work since I was probably about 4 years old. I've been protesting Columbus since at least kindergarten, and I think that Columbus is a glorified figure that shouldn't be glorified. I think that there's various stories about Columbus, about how he would get his sword and to test if his sword was sharp enough for battle, he'd cut limbs off of native people, and if the sword went cleanly through the limb, it was sharp enough for the day. Or he would bring attack dogs and he'd attack the native people. There's so many horrendous stories about the actions of Columbus, and he shouldn't have his own day.
What are the strategies that you're using to move this forward?
Education and media. I think that those two go hand in hand in terms of promoting education and promoting knowledge and getting it out across the country and educating people about why this should not be happening.
Are you working with schools? Are you trying to promote a different kind of curriculum about Columbus? Have you done any of that kind of work?
I used to intern at the Native American Heritage Commission at the California State Capitol. So we have worked a lot with various state officials in California, but we haven't partnered with any schools.
What's the reception to this been with California state officials?
It's been fairly good. I mean, anything that goes through government and state officials is commonly quite hard and a long period of time before anything really gets done, but we are working towards it.
Jayden Lim, thank you very much for being with Free Speech TV. Is there anything more you'd like to talk about your work with tribal ambassadors, tribal youth ambassadors?
It's really important to start this movement from symbolism to reality and talk about issues that we aren't talking about right now.
Among them?
Stereotypes, the lack of knowledge concerning California history and the truth behind it, and we need to start asking the hard questions right now.